Welcome to Promo Insiders, the ASI media podcast that covers the topics that matter most to the promotional products industry. I'm CJ Mitica, and today I'm joined by Jackson Williams, an account manager with Counselor Top 40 Distributor, American Solutions for Business, as well as ASI's Salesperson Up-and-Comer of the Year. In his 2+ years working in promo, Jackson grew his sales revenue by 340% last year and was named ASB's Rookie of the Year. Today, Jackson is going to share what's made him successful so quickly, his advice for others, and what it's like working with his twin brother. But first, a word from our sponsor.
SNS Activewear and Alpha Broder are integrating to become the premier partner for the apparel industry. With one website, one purchase order, over 100 beloved brands, and 14 distribution centers, you can streamline your ordering and operations while being able to hit free freight faster than ever. Benefit from 1 to 2 day shipping with the lowest error rate in the industry, and leverage combined net term limits to benefit your business like never before. Starting May 30th, the Alpha Broder website will be retired. However, customers will now have one login, one experience, and everything they need all at ssactivewear.com.
Welcome back to Promo Insiders, where we're speaking with Jackson Williams of ASB. Jackson, congratulations on being named ASI's Up-and-Comer of the Year.
Thanks, CJ. I really appreciate it.
So, obviously, you've had great success in promo. You've only been working in promo for 2+ years. What's enabled you to be able to be so successful so quickly, being new to the industry?
Really, I try to focus on, trying to, learn and understand my customers, what would make, their lives easier. It's always a goal for me to, be an extension of their team. So yeah, really just, taking time to really just kind of learn my customers, and really just kind of work as a partner of their team.
So I know that you're unfamiliar with promo. At least you were kind of unfamiliar when you first started, and you've told me before you've had to learn a lot about the industry. What was that learning curve like for you?
Oh, I tell people all the time, it's one of the hardest things I've done in my professional career for sure. I stepped away from a job where, I was pretty comfortable. I knew the ins and outs really well. It was kind of like the same, day-to-day task. And then stepping into this industry, you just have so much to learn. I mean, anything from like print, promo, direct mail, e-commerce solutions, warehousing, kitting projects, everything since I've started with American has been completely new for me. It's definitely been extremely challenging, but it's also been extremely rewarding, really to kind of, have to figure out each step of the process kind of as I go. It takes a lot of listening from my customers, just kind of trying to understand what they're trying to accomplish, and then kind of stepping away and going back to my team and saying, how can we get this accomplished? How can we figure this out?
So for our listeners and viewers, if you're watching the video, you might be looking at Jackson and be like, wow, he looks really young. This is probably his first job ever. And we know that's not the case, because Jackson's been working since he was a teenager. And I know you've been very driven to be in the workforce, to be just working even during school. Where does that come from, and that drive to be working from such a young age?
I would definitely say my parents, they definitely kind of instilled that on me from a young age. Get out, go work, work hard for what you earn and everything. And really just stepping into sales to start with has kind of created, a drive, within just kind of this industry, because, the sky's the limit in sales. The harder you work, the more, doors you knock, the more, connections you make, the better off you're going to be. And that's what I really love about sales. I mean, your job is never finished. You've always got something that you can keep working on, keep pushing towards. And it's been really, really rewarding for me, for sure.
So tell me a little bit more about working in sales, because you were in college and you were working full-time jobs. So tell me, how did that happen?
So really, I started in sales at 19. At that time, I kind of transitioned into taking like online classes. So kind of gearing up, expecting, to step into a sales role where I was going to be traveling. It was being on the road so much. It was actually a pretty good schedule for me because I could go work, my normal, 8 to 6 o'clock job, knocking doors, doing my job, but then I could log on and do online classes in the afternoon time. And being on the road, just in a hotel, kind of by yourself, traveling to new cities every single week, it can get kind of lonely. So honestly, it was pretty great for me. It was a good little setup. Kind of has something that I could work towards, after hours, after work and everything.
And I know with your previous job, it was something that you really worked hard to get. Like how many months was it that you're calling on this company in your previous job?
Yeah, so I was calling on them for about 6 months to finally get an opportunity. I knew, they had never hired somebody at 19. Most of their reps at that point were, somewhere in their mid 50s or so. But, finally I got, in contact with the right person, and they were like, we're going to give you an opportunity. And really, they gave me an opportunity. I'm extremely grateful for that because it just gave me an opportunity to kind of go out, prove myself, and as well, bring my brother into the industry as well, bring him into the same sales position and everything like that. And I'm fortunate to say that he did pretty well in that role as well too. And we made a really good team out of it. So definitely was a great opportunity for me for sure.
So I'm glad you mentioned your twin brother Lucas, because both you and he are now working together out of the southeast hub for ASD. Sorry, that's a mouthful to say.
Yeah.
And so what's that like? So I know you've worked with your brother before. Like, what's it like working with him? What's it like working with him again?
Yeah, I would definitely say we work, the way we work together today is definitely kind of a different capacity than what we had previously. Previously, like really, we just kind of relied on each other, being out on the road, both of us in, separate cities, separate towns, separate hotels every single week. It's kind of good to have that kind of accountability partner behind you saying, or somebody that you could even just call in the middle of the workday and discuss either a problem or even share like a success and, kind of motivate each other. If I'm having a tough week and I'm really not, having as much success as what I was planning for, it's always good to kind of have him to lean on and say, hey, look, this is what I'm facing. And he can kind of, light a fire under me a little bit sometimes too. Definitely in this role, we're definitely more of working on projects directly together. So there's been, a little bit of a learning curve there with, how much we're working together and, trying to make sure that we're not, stepping on each other's toes or, duplicating efforts in any way. But it has been really, really rewarding for me to have him on with my team. We kind of touched on it earlier, like everything in this job is a learning curve for me. So everything I'm doing is completely new. And it's kind of cool to see him kind of going through that right now, like learning himself. Him having me, having at least a couple years under my belt. I have a little bit of experience and I can kind of share my past experiences with him. But also just some of the projects that he brings in himself, they can be unique and completely different than, stuff that I'd worked on previously. So I also see a big learning opportunity having him on my team as well too.
Oh, that's fantastic. Really cool to work with your brother. Jackson, just to wrap up, relatively new to the promo industry, but obviously you're not new to sales. So what kind of advice could you offer to other sales reps?
I would definitely, just be a student, continue to push to learn more and more, about the industry, more and more on how you can help your customers. Really, like I said before, the sky's the limit. So if you can be kind of an expert, an extension of your customers, I think that immediate success might not be, you might not have immediate success, but you'll find success, down the road, for sure.
Great. Well, Jackson, thanks you for joining me. Congratulations once again on being on up and comer of the year.
Thanks, CJ.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Have a great rest of your week.